Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Due Process League. I'm Seth Shark. Alongside me is Boxy. Boxy, how you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. So for the
Yeah.
first game of today, I am indeed doing fantastic. For the first game today, we have Yaokuza versus the Gnomes. This should be an interesting game to see how this is all going to play out and who's ultimately going to go on to play in the final. This is the semifinal, the first one for today. Of these two teams, Boxy, who do you think is going to take the first game?
I think it's Yakuza for sure. Gnomes are obviously also, they've come this far. They are in the semifinals, but I think Yakuza is just kind of at the top at the moment, alongside like Global Breakout. Really a
Mm,
no-brainer, but I'm always down to be surprised by Gnomes, right?
mhm. It
What do
definitely
you
is
think?
possible with yeah, it is definitely possible with Gnomes to come back in and maybe be a surprise to Yakuza. Definitely Yakuza
Hmm.
has a stronger, I think, lineup and overall performance is gonna be perhaps stronger on the outset at least, but until we get into the game there, it's gonna be hard to kinda predict who's gonna ultimately take the first win here. Of these 2 teams, though, I gotta give between Gnomes and Yakuza. I'm gonna give a little bit of an edge to Yakuza, but Gnomes,
Hmm.
they have a bit of a surprise factor that can kinda come in to be a bit of a shock, potentially, to Yakuza if
Oh,
they're not in the
a wild
game, but
card? Yeah.
perhaps a wild card, but Floggle is a very interesting fellow, a bit of a
Oh
wild
yeah.
card on his own, and has a lot of interesting strat stuff that he does that can really change the game and bring it to a higher level to try and battle with his teammates. And of course, going against him, it's very scary against Floggle. He has a lot of strats that break the meta of what people think it's played and how it is normally played. So Floggle is
Okay.
one to watch out for if you're playing against him. Should be a fantastic game today.
Okay. Well, it's definitely worth mentioning that at this point teams are just playing for seeding because qualified either with this open or with the previous two. So, we're just playing for seeding for the prize money. The stakes aren't all that high, right?
Hmm.
So, I think, we still have two great best of threes in front of us because the other one after us is also Global Breakout versus LCG. And like we said, we have Yaokuza and Gnomes now. But I think some teams will, just be playing for fun for the money. I don't think we'll be seeing all the strats pulled out just yet. And I could be wrong, obviously, but what do you think?
So, I mean, it definitely is probably less likely in a situation like this, but still, it's good for teams to practice, teams to try things out. I think we're going to see Gnomes do some pretty interesting stuff overall in terms of the meta choices, but whether or not Yakuza is going to do the same thing, maybe a thing, but I think we'll just have to
Yeah.
find out once they get into the game here. From of these two teams, though, is there any player that you've seen so far or that you maybe noticed that may be a bit of a surprise, potentially?
Well, like you said, Flogel, I think, is the one to watch out for. To be honest, I am still kind of getting learning the ropes with the rosters, who's on where, who's just subbing for who, because we do see a lot of that as well. Um, but yeah, probably Flogel, like you said, honestly. Um, and I also heard that Maze does really well, and yeah, so I guess Mace.
Okay, interesting. So I don't believe Mace is playing today, but could be possibly
He is
subbed in
in the
later.
squad as far as like,
Oh,
yeah, he is. He is.
all
If
right.
I'm not mistaken, him and Scooge are brothers, right? That's what I was told.
I think so, but I have to confirm
Hmm.
that they are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So we have brothers in arms, both literally and figuratively. Um,
Indeed.
both squads are made. We're just waiting for them to start, and then we can go to the game, and you can stop looking at us rambling. But okay. So we said Nakadama, or not Nakadama, excuse me, Yakuza takes it in general. Who do you think is taking the first map? Are we even
Ooh.
going to three maps? Because it
Well,
is
we'll go
best
to
of three.
multiple. I believe we're going to go to multiple maps because every map we change. But in terms of game wise,
Oh, sorry,
I
games. Yeah,
yeah,
games. Okay.
it's a little tricky because we're definitely used to some older stuff where they have different stuff. Anyways, who's going to take game one? I
Yeah.
think is a good question. I think Yakuza are definitely having a strong advantage to probably take game one. But
Okay.
Gnomes, if they can upset Yakuza and throw up their metal game to where they're totally out of the water, they're not checked in, they're out of the game, out of the picture. They could take game one, maybe game two. But Yakuza,
Hmm.
they're pretty resistant to that kind of change. I think they're gonna have a pretty strong control of the map early on, potentially the
Okay.
game. But I think it's going to be up to the teams to figure that out themselves when they're ready to go.
So, are
Weapon
you
wise,
predicting a 2-0 game wise?
2-0 is pretty bold. I think we'll see overall game wise, yes, 2-0. I think game one is going to be a close one, at least
Okay.
closer. I think 7-2, 7 going to, of course, Yakuza, 2 to Gnomes,
Okay.
potentially more. Game two, though, that's the surprise factor. It depends all on how game one does. If
Okay.
game 1 is a blowout in favor of Yakuza, I think game 2 is gonna be a bit of a sweep again for Yakuza again. But if Gnomes bring it to a close one, maybe 4-7, I think that second game's gonna be just as close, if not even closer,
Okay.
possibly a 5-7.
Okay. Well, there's also always the possibility of map or game draws, right? So, in that case, we'll go to 3 maps regardless. And do you have anything else to talk about? Because we apparently still have some time to kill. We're just waiting, like we said, for the actual lobby to start, and then we get into the game.
Yeah, not a problem. We can definitely talk about some stuff. Weapon-wise is an interesting thing, and with these maps as well, have really kind of changed a lot of the choice of weapons, choice of meta, how people are playing, and what are they doing. They think we're
Hmm.
going to see, at least weapon-wise, how about this one for a surprise question?
Oh no.
What is your personal favorite weapon that you've played with so far, Boxy?
I've actually been having a lot of fun trying the snipers out, so the mob, the saber. But other than that, I guess you can't go wrong with the basics. So the AP-25, I think, would be the favorite. What about
Mm,
you?
That's a good question. Now, it's been a while since I've probably played a little bit of due process myself, but I loved the tub. It's so great to run in there, gun in. If you get the timings right, you can just rush in very, very aggressively, wipe everybody out. But equally, I like the black tar too, being able to have that long cross distance pick.
Mhm.
If you know the lines right, you can pre-fire that spot and just drop enemies so quickly. It's very, very effective on that attacking side.
Yep.
Alrighty. So it sounds like they're finally ready to go in game here. It's going to be a fantastic series here. I'm excited to see who's going to take this first game and how it's going to ultimately churn out on who's going to be on top.
Yep. Likewise.
Indeed, I'm excited. Let's see what this first map is going to be and what the rotation set is going to be ultimately.
Okay. So, what is your favorite tile set? I guess because we still are killing
Ooh,
time at this point,
that's a good
or
question.
or least favorite. Give me both.
Okay, most least favorite. I would say my most favorite is easily Kildome USA. It's so
Oh
dynamic, so kind
man,
of different that it's fun. It's
I
really
liked
fun.
you so much up until this point, man.
It's something different, right? You can play
Okay.
realistic, going through areas, going through spots, but then you just have Kildome. It's fantastic. Least favorite is probably a factory, which I believe is the map we're starting with. Believe it
Hmm.
is. What is the name of this one? Looks like it's written Atmos Circus. Interesting map selection choice here. Chronos. Interesting.
Chronos. Yeah. Well, yeah. So you said kill them favorite. I don't know. I liked you up until now, but whatever. What do you expect to see here on Factory? Obviously a lot of long angles and stuff, but what else?
I think we're going to see a lot of long angles, a lot of good plays for the map as well. This is a pretty big map overall, so
Okay.
I'd be surprised to see a lot of good pre-fire angles from the defenders. Attackers are going to need to use a lot of good smokes to counter that position, though, but the bomb near the no man's land there spot is going to be an interesting one to guard against. I think
Yeah.
attackers are going to have a lot of options for that one. They have a couple picks they can go through there, but it's going to be a challenge to push through, but it looks like attackers are reading the plays pretty well from what defenders are doing.
Okay. Um. So yeah, we've already predicted, the overall result, the game one result. Who do you think is taking this first round?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the first round, it's tough to see who's going to ultimately take this one. I do believe we have Yakuza on the attacking side of this one, so
Mhm.
it's looking pretty good for a chance for them to win it, but we will just have to see how they ultimately set up. Looks like defenders are moving into a good spot, though.
Okay. Well, they're still setting up. They still have a few seconds, and let's see how they like to defend this. No, they only have one person in office, and office looks like a strong point of contention. There we go. Now there's two of them in there. But most of the attackers are just, the smokes are already coming out. They're just pushing the green doors and server farm, from what I see.
Yeah, looks like they set up a good smoke there for that green door entrance. Oh, but Tiki Man, nice pick into Mace. Dropping an early one on that pick and hold there for server room. We're still pulling on the outside there, going for the nice pick across there. We do see Skoog in a good spot, watching for your angles there, watching for the pushes to happen.
Yeah, Squid just kind of, pulled back. I think he's just playing his life, and the attackers will be taking control of Sturmer farther. Also already pushing into Bowler, trying to get Scooch. Bullets are coming out, but none connect just as of yet.
Indeed, they're
Attack.
very, very close, though. They're about to
Yep.
make contact right now.
Vogel also just pushing up the catwalk.
Oh,
He gets pre-fired at, and he kind of backs off in the end. But he was pretty close. The lights also got pulled. I don't think we mentioned that. The NVGs, the Saber, all the stops got pulled from the attacker just on round one. They're bringing everything. They're not saving anything for the future rounds. Also, Molly's coming out from the defenders on dock there. and the attack actually kind of spread out. They're spread very thin at the moment. I think, kind of got stumped in their tracks.
They really did, yeah. They kind of had that good approach for the server room. They had the good access to take the boilers up on the top there, but kind of got stuck in the docks. We do see the push now happening from at least 2 players there on the bottom, running through, gunning through. Reptar still holding on for dear life on the top side, but no, Index and Dylan will be taking out Coop and Tiga Man on the bottom side there. And one last one remaining on the bottom there. Dylan's taken out by Photon on the push on the bottom, so that push and dock was unsuccessful. Only 2 remaining now. Ghetto and Flog on the top side. We do see them trying to push through, taking control of Office. But they're trying to take control. Can they keep it alive is the question. Oh, Ghetto, nice pickup on to Skoog there, running through, gunning through, only 2 remaining. This is a winnable clutch. They're already on the bomb, defusing. Only 16 seconds left in the round. Already 1 defender pushing on the other side. They're going for the aggressive peek. They take out 1. Can they take out 2? They will, and it's going to be the defenders. Ultimately, that is Yaokuza, it looks like. Actually, excuse me, that is Gnomes taking the first round 1-0.
Yeah. I'm no expert in this game, but from what we've seen, I feel like Yakuza had great momentum going into server. They started off well. They got the entry pick, with the Saber even. And like we said, they had all the utility there. Like they had the NVGs, they had the Saber. They just pretty much brought everything. And once they got the entry pick, they kind of slowed down. They got pre-fired at, a few mollies were thrown at them, and after that, they just kind of didn't know what to do. Then they spread out. A few people pushed the bottom side of the map. A few people went, into boiler, and they just kind of didn't actually push together anymore. And I think that is what caused them the round. They just let themselves be picked apart and then picked off one by one.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like they had a good kind of concept in theory, but ultimately Numbs just kind of held their ground. They held the good rotation angles to try and stop that pushes, and it worked very, very effectively. So, GG's will play to Gnomes.
Yep. I don't think that's the opening any of us expected, but I'm glad to see it happen. Always when the underdog gets around or 2 or even a game, I think you're always like, you can be happy about that for sure. But now we're on C Star. So what are we expecting here? What do you think's happening? We see a lot of barb coming out, like a
Yeah, it
lot.
looks like yeah, they are indeed setting up for a storefront breach. Pretty standard to see in C-Store maps to have that position and ultimate play there to hold off the storefront push there. It's going to be very, very common for attackers to use. The backside, though, is open. You do have a red door and arcade, which could be an interesting point to push for him. I do see, obviously, we're going to see probably a push on maybe Office on the other side there. We do see a barb coming out, called out by Dylan to block off that push. It makes sense to hold that off. The attackers so far keeping their kind of plays close, looking for some pre-fires there through storage to probably take out someone guarding bridges potentially. But the play is going to be a 2-3 split on the center push here. It's going to be a little bit tough for them, but I think they could do it. They're going to have to watch out for someone in Office. Obviously, watch out for someone in bathroom as well, as they can crossfire pretty effectively in that side and position there. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how they play through this one and how ultimately the defenders stop that push, if at all. Of course, Yakuza being on the attackers, they did have a bit of a fumble there in the first round, but this round on Operation Blood Warrior should be a fantastic one to see.
Yeah, I've actually only learned now that like every tile or every map, I guess, has its own name and that it's at the bottom right. So thank you for teaching me that. But like I said, let's see if Yakuza can finally prevail. They did lose round 1. I don't think anyone expected it, but maybe they can tie it up in round 2. They are going for the green doors again, but like you said, it's a 2-3 split, so they'll also be breaching storefront from what we've seen in prep phase.
Ooh. Interesting. So they've gone for a grenade on the window to break rid of the barbed wire there in Office. Index is waiting for the angle here. They do go for the storefront breach, but slow pushing it. But Coop and Ghetto on the other side there. Coop going for
Index is in trouble.
Yeah, Index about to get pushed and does get taken out by Photon as Tigaman comes in to try and stop the push. But Dylan from behind gets the trade by the Tigaman, goes for 2. But is going to have to just ultimately escape. Ultimately baits out the shot and spot for Photon as Reptar still holds off the push for the push in storefront there. Do you see Skoog in a good spot to rotate, though, to cancel that out as Photon moves in to push in on Freezes. Floggle teaming up as well, but Photon will take out Dylan as Skoog has to rotate back and stay alive for the moment here. Smoke on the bomb as well, which is interesting as Ghetto and Coop have pushed through. Reptar having to take cover there. They've taken control of the right side of the map, but they still have the center to push through for the attackers. Skoog, though, is taken out by Coop on a nice push and hold. They're trying to stay prone, trying to hide out there and rat up, but it ultimately was caught out. Indeed, Fumigate his mace comes in for the rotation and Fridges. Goes for the play up as Koo holds on for dear life. Floggle with a pre-fire there with that knack. It is a devastating weapon to wallbang with that little knack. It is a surprise factor for his Reptar on the bottom. Pushed by Ghetto here.
All up to Mace and Ghetto, like he said, and Reptar, they're just playing patiently. He's getting pre-fired. He can't do much. Mace is there to help him, but he also needs to pick his own fights. Both of them lost some HP now, and Raptard is pretty low. The bomb starts getting defused. Mace will push and get taken out, and it's all up to Raptard. He does
Oh,
not even get the first one. He gets taken out, and that is another, or rather, the first round for Yakuza. They tie it up 1-1. Can we just talk about how Flogel, Coop, and Bilton, they just literally Office, Freezer, Arcade, and then Fridges, they literally got them by sprinting at the defenders in those places and just, taking them off one by one. They literally just collapsed onto them. There's no way you can shoot at two people at once, and they took advantage of that. They didn't even drop one body, both on Ghetto, both super low, but it worked out. And like we said, 1-1.
indeed it was. It was a strong performance and play there from the attackers. They really had that aggressive push in, peek in. I'm taking this control. It's my map now. I'm coming in. Get out of the way. And it just kind of bulldozed through those
Yeah,
defenders pretty effectively on that left side there. The right side of the map was a little bit interesting. They had to kind of pincer the players together and try and force them to make a move since they lost control of that center area there because they all focused heavy left. They knew the players were going to push through there. And ultimately, they just kind of lost to the team battles there as we saw really good teamwork. They're coming in from Yaokuza facing 2v1s versus 1v1v1s. You're going to win 2v1s nearly every time, but winning a 1v2, nearly impossible. So,
yeah.
Yakuza,
There we go.
fantastic.
Your favorite map. But yeah, on C-Store, I was just gonna comment on how it feels like Yakuza are just, kind of stalling outside. They had the breach open on storefront, and then they just didn't push in. They were just kind of vibing. They had three people on the breach and no one pushed in. And then we saw Flogel and company just sprint in. Only Ghetto was watching flank. No one else was even checking corners. They just sprinted in to the left side of the map and they started killing people. So as soon as I was gonna criticize them, like they actually kind of, picked up the pace. But Kildome, your favorite tile set,
Oh,
and
Kill
I
Dome.
I still judge you for it. I'm sorry.
Oh, you can judge me all you like. I'm happy. I'm proud to be a Kill Dome USA enthusiast because it is a fun and it's a fun and creative way of taking on an
Uh,
FPS. I like
that,
something different, and it's something different. You wouldn't expect this from a tactical shooter to have a TV show themed map that has a lot of creative different ways of attacking things and defending things. And in this
I
map,
guess
and
so.
especially Tide Trigger, we do have an interesting set of bombs on the bottom here. Actually, well, the bottom of the top up there at least. Very interesting to see that pit. Being a red door means you're probably not going to see it being pushed that effectively or that commonly, but the beach breach is going to be very effective on the crossback though. I do see a large opening here from the beach on this angle here. That could be pretty nasty of a pre-fire there. So they got to be
Yeah,
very careful guarding that one with either smokes, flashes, or just a hail of gunfire in this window here. They got to be very, very careful. And it looks like the teams have called a pause for some technical difficulties, perhaps
you
weapon-wise.
gotta
Go for it.
probably, but you gotta keep in mind that Yakuza lost the Saber in round one. They've lost the NVGs in round one, so you probably won't see lights play. You probably you can't see sniper play, and I think that limits their options significantly, right?
Yeah, it does.
And I also you can see Gnomes are aware of that, and they just look how heavily they set up for office. Look at how much utility there is, how much manpower there is there.
Mhm.
So I think Gnomes are just kind of keeping track of utility. They know what Yakuza can and can't do at the moment, and Yakuza I think are gonna have a pretty tough time attacking there. So if they don't win their gunfights, if they don't win their ones, I think there's really this is another round in the books for Gnomes. And I
I
could be completely wrong here, but you know.
Yeah, I think when they try to push Castle, it's gonna be a tough one to try and hold off and push off from. You do have a little bit of options, but it's gonna definitely be a difficult one to go through. You do have that sight line, which we do see Floggle drawing here underneath in this beach area here, so they can go for the push and ultimately play passive. They have to just push
Hmm.
the button here and then just shoot across into Castle to lock that down, and then
Okay.
from there go sight lines in Castle.
Yeah, I
So it
guess
could
so.
be a good push on that side too, from what looks like they're predicting. So that teamwork there, especially with Floggle on the Black Tar suppressed, could be very interesting and a bit
Hmm.
suppressing for the other team potentially. Although I imagine they're probably going to go for the pit play and go for power early on.
Yeah, but again, they don't have NVGs anymore, so going for power, you can still go for it, but there's very little advantage to it now, right?
Well, for the
So,
attackers, yeah, but defenders can use it to their advantage.
oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the attackers, but
Yeah, I don't think attackers would want to use that right now because they already lost their NVGs.
yeah,
They would be against.
exactly. Well, stranger things have happened.
True, true. I mean, we've seen some interesting strategies in the DPL before on kill dome maps where they run outside the map and try and go for kills there with a fast pre-fire, which it's in theory effective, but usually the timing doesn't work out, and usually it ends up looking like they're
Yeah.
throwing. But it's actually it's a legitimate strategy. I swear, it's definitely a thing.
Okay, definitely. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Okay, there we go. We're saying I'm pausing chat, and I think we're about to actually resume. Gnomes ready. We're just checking if everyone's ready, but we should be starting shortly. And
All
round
right.
3. So I have Gnomes taking it. Who do you have?
I think we're gonna have a Yakuza push. I think they can take control of castle. If they can move out of the castle, they've got the round. If they all get stuck in castle, not knowing where to go, knowing where to push from, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's gonna be a pretty game set match here for Gnomes on this round at least. So they have a
Okay.
good setup as well on weapons. We do see Reptar and Skoog rocking the auto shotty and Mop for long distance shots as well as Index rocking the Ingmar there. Be pretty devastating as Mace is rocking the KR. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
not one to be one to go up against. But let's see what they do here. See Tigman and Flog on the top side going for that setup, possibly in the pit, perhaps baiting the sound off for the push. Do go for a bit of a push on the bottom side here. Photon, Coop, and Ghetto waiting for the hold as we do see the red door being breached in Castle. They go for the split push as well in Beach. Going for the fast play here. Floggle getting that sight line up early on. Goog waiting for the push on the red door there. Be very devastating. Coop going to sneak through here. So far, Skook not being spotted yet. Coop's going to go in for the push and play
Oh,
here. Coop,
oh,
take out Skook spot as Sticky Man. Takes out Reptars. Mace counters with the kill onto Coop. So far,
yeah.
Mesa's still in the fight. Oh, Index, though. Nice long shot there to Tiga Man. As Floggle's still in the fight, trying to cover two angles at once. Very, very risky. Dylan as well able to try and counter Floggle's spot as with
Wait.
alongside Index as Photon takes out Mace on the bottom.
Yeah, that smoke was kind of counterintuitive because you had Mace pinned in that corner, but instead decided to push in and he lost his life, but he could have very well rotated out there into jungle and he could have lived to fight another day. But regardless, we are in a 3v2 with only Dylan and Index left alive. So, the two long range weapons. There we go. Dylan will switch his weapon as I say that. And it
Oh,
is all up to Index now as Dylan also falls. So nice shot from Flogel there. And Index is just getting overrun. He will get the first one, but he takes a lot of damage. Molly comes out. He should probably switch to the pistol. That is what he does. Get in hand. 45 seconds left. He opens his doors to try and bait out with sound. He's still ready. He waits for the push. Pistol out in hand, but he gets spotted from the right side. Does not react fast enough. All the defenders fall. The bomb gets defused. And Yakuza actually take it 2-1. You were right. I was wrong.
well, I think that was a combination of really strong pushes from both teams. Both teams had really good counter kind of strategies and plays there, but ultimately, it came down to the gun skills individually of the players in Yakuza. And I
Yeah.
think they've definitely got an advantage on that side, and they went to their favor, and they got the rounds. So they take the lead 2-1 here. So far, it's looking pretty set and match here for what I expected, but equally, Gnomes getting the first round win in there could be a bit of a surprise factor in the future. Curious to see these next rounds and what the next tile set's going to be for this rotation. This could be a bit of a tale of who's going to take it, but it's going to be swap sides now with now the Gnomes on the attacker. So Yakuza setting up for defense. It could be pretty devastating because Gnomes can be a bit of a surprise, but Yakuza as well are a true wild card.
For sure. But yeah, just I know we're already in the next set now, but just like going back, I still don't get that smoke from the attackers necessarily because just had to flash him out or push him or something. Instead, the attackers smoked in front of them, and they gave Mace the chance to rotate out. He decided to push in through the smoke to try and be unpredictable, maybe get a kill or two with his aggression, and like it didn't end up working out. But he could have rotated out of there, and he could have met up with the teammates again. He could have played refrags, and the round could have gone very differently. But instead, he died. But regardless, factory.
Yeah, Mace's approach there was a little bit interesting. I think he was going for all guts, no guts, no glory, and ultimately it did cost him his life there. But that's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes when you go for big plays like that. It is effective, but also very dangerous.
Yeah.
But that is sometimes how it goes in due process. You have your ideas, you go for it, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But that's just how it goes sometimes. And ultimately, it is on to the next round of Chronos Circus. Back again on this big factory map here with a lot of long side angles, similar to what we saw in Kill House here. But now, with swap sides here, let's see what Yakuza opt to do. They're setting up for a lot of Molotovs and looks like flares as well for the breach here and set up. Good barbed wire here from Flagel. Could be very good at stopping the pushes, at least aggressively from server farm to the walkway in the main area there. Although cargo hold, the bomb on the top side there could be interesting. How it's breached and how they ultimately opt to push it and hold it. Defenders, at least attackers for now, holding off for the windows and going for the office breacher could be very, very fast player and could be a quick round for the Gnomes if they're able to take that momentum to their full advantage.
Yeah. Also, server. You can see that gnomes are just bringing the saber there onto server window, and Tiggyman and Ghetto are both ready there. And Tigga, I think, was the person that actually got the entry earlier, right? Right on that window actually with the saber. So let's see if gnomes can replicate it. But I think everyone just fell off. Ghetto's still kind of there, but he's playing pretty passive angles. And when he gets pushed out, I don't think he's going to contest it much. He's probably just going to fall back as well. There we go. Molly comes out, and he just kind of backs off. Flash still catches him, though.
Indeed, that was a good read and a good play there from the attackers to flash and ultimately get rid of the
Oh.
barbed wire there in the green door now. They're just waiting for the push and time to strike here, but a lot of flashes coming in. Double push in from Server Farm and Dylan on the other side there, trying to block off an offense. They go for the good Molotov breach. In the meantime, the Server Farm is now being taken control of by the attackers as they go in for the push. The rest of the team, though, has rotated back. It's a good call from Yaokuza to go back and ultimately stay safe, stay together, and work together, lock down this position. They do give up Server Farm, but it's not a big deal. Tiga Man on the bottom side, they're looking to sneak through here. Trying to get one, but no, Skook Squad will take him out. Tiga Man going for another one here. At least Skook Squad took out Tiga Man in that push and hold. So far, the attackers take control of the boiler here. Indeed, bowling up the win in their side, but Photon is hanging out in the office, trying to hold on for dear life as Dylan takes control, at least the top side for now. But on the other side of the Server Farm, Mace and Reptar battling against Coop and Floggle. He's going to go for the pusher. They do go for the green door breach. Coop in a good spot to counter it, but Dylan will take out Photon on the tide, rotating out of the office. But Ghetto, for now, is pushing through here, trying to figure out where to go. Not sure where he has access to just yet. Ghetto trying to stay alive here, trying to escape. Manages to sneak past Mace and Dylan, aiming at his spot there, but Coop and Floggle and Ghetto are the last alive for now. They've taken control of most of the area here for the attackers, but Coop with a good read gets the kill onto Dylan on that left side as the right side's getting perfectly Molotov there by Ghetto to block off that push.
Look at the HPs, though. Everyone on Gnomes is very, very low, except for maybe Reptar. Everyone else will be, taken off in one shot, and there we go. Coop gets a second one. That is Index falling, and it is all... It's a 3v3, actually, now, and only 20 seconds left. You need 10 to defuse. Ghetto gets 1 and 2, and it is all up to Reptar, who may just elect to save the Saber. He's running out of time. He's running out of places.
He's out of time.
From which he's saved. He gets pushed from Ghetto, and Ghetto gets a triple. That's a teammates from Coop and Ghetto there. Coop with 2, Ghetto with 3, and another. Looked so well in the beginning, but somehow the players of Gnomes just got their HP chipped away throughout the round, slowly but surely, and they ended up dying because, in the end, when you have 5 HP, you can just get nicked by a bullet and it'll be over for you.
Yeah, I think that was a good attempt of a push there by the defenders to try and bring things back, but ultimately ultimately the attackers, they had a good try and push. They didn't expect, though, Ghetto and Coop to ultimately counter their plays.
Yeah.
They kind of only had 2 spots to funnel into, and ultimately they weren't thinking about where they could be at, where they were hiding at. I'm sure attackers were trying to clear out everything at one spot there, and it's a tough one to push, but it was just a fantastic clutch there by Coop and Ghetto working together, locking down the angles, locking down the positions, and just pre-firing everybody, and just getting the W in there. Fantastically done. Excited to see this next round on Operation Blood Warrior.
We also have Photon with the Saber, by the way, so that could be interesting. He's probably gonna drop it now. It's not that useful in C-Store, and you just risk giving it back to the attackers should they win. Last map is Kill Dome, so it kind of makes sense to just save the Saber for then and then bringing it there. But I could also be wrong. What do I know about this game? Not very much. So what do you think?
So, I think they're not going to use it on this map because this is, as you can see, a very small map.
Yeah.
There is a use for it, though. You could sit in fridges and actually shoot all the way across here, maybe in the storefront, or maybe go for a long shot in bathroom all the way across if you want to be really, really risky. I don't think the angles line up quite right for a bathroom kind of hold in that spot, but it could definitely surprise somebody if they're in office and they're not ready for a push with this. Someone holding with a Saber would definitely be a surprise for sure. Although how effective that'd be in the long run, probably not. But it could be a fun one to counter with. We do see the standard position here being smoked, or at least being played for the breach here on the left side here. Gives access to the office and fast rotation to the storefront. So you have 2-for-1 combo here. Makes sense to go for that left side since you have more access and actually a lot more cover than the right side of the bathroom there. You have a lot less to move around with and flank around with in that right side versus the left. So it makes sense to focus on that side here. Defenders, though, are setting up for a standard storefront breach, which could be effective, but equally, I think that standard left play is going to be a pretty good counter to that one, though. So I'd say Gnome's probably going to take this round, potentially.
Yeah, you were talking about the breach charge, or the wall charge, rather, being on the left side, and that is pretty much what Yakuza did. I feel like all of the attacks from Gnome so far have been, at least initially, pretty similar to what Yakuza are doing. And do you think Gnomes are just trying to copy what Yakuza are doing? Or is that just like kind of the default of how it's usually played? And, we're just seeing good teams do that. Just very little innovation here.
I think we're seeing a bit of a meta play here. It makes sense because this is a map that's pretty basic, pretty simple. So it's pretty easy to counter with your standard stuff. I don't think we're seeing anything unique just yet because I could see a push in Arcade being a bit of a surprise. Obviously, the right side of the map is not breachable from the outside, but that left side is indeed breachable. As we do see them now breach in, they take control of office. They do take the storefront potentially, but Ghetto is holding it off. Coop trying to hold off the entire team here, facing 2 enemies at once. They go for the smoke in mid storefront to push off Ghetto, and they go for a good flash to focus off anybody in tellers and the right side there. And Index will take down Floggle, as now it's going to be a tough one to push through. But Mace taken up by Coop on the push. Coop going to stay alive for another second. No, he's not. Skoog will take out Coop on that push. On the left side is Ghetto taken up by Dylan. And Index looking to try and trade up as well. Photon trying to get some shots here from Teller. But so far, nothing to tell just yet as Index holds off that position. As Tiga Man stuck in a tough spot here, just trying to guard the bomb for his dear life. Only 2 remaining defenders now. 4 up for the attackers, looking pretty strong for the Gnomes win here. But let's see what Photon can do. Can he come in clutch? Has only a Molotov and a Grouper in his pocket. What can he do with it? He has a lot of things he can do with it. Tiga Man on the bomb. Goes for the pre-fire there through the wall. Did not get the kill. Definitely got some damage done there, at least mentally towards Tiga there. But ultimately, Skoog will get the kill onto Tiga Man. And that's the round. Ultimately, Gnomes take it 2-3.
That was very, very clean. And yeah, you pretty much let it all learn the round. There's literally nothing for me to add. Just, you know, winning the 1v1s has been detrimental so far in this game in particular. Like, whoever wins their ones wins. And, you know, we are in an FPS shooter, so that kind of makes sense. But, I don't know. I feel like it's really just been those isolated 1v1s. Which is super interesting, because if you just look back at how Gnomes defended and rather Yakuza attacked this, they had like 3-4 people just storm each room and just play refrags, and no one even ended up dying because the overwhelmed defenders didn't even know who to shoot at in the end. And so it's like kind of the complete opposite of how both teams attacked this C-store, if you know what I mean. One opted for like group pushes, one opted for 1v1 fights, but it both ended up working out in the end.
Indeed, they were good counters, good plays there. I think it was just really knowing how the teams play, knowing how people like to shoot at, how they like to take on battles, and it really was the Gnomes working effectively together to force Yakuza into tough battles they think they could maybe win, but ultimately just struggled to win there, and ultimately did cost them the round for at least the Yakuza. But now 2-3 coming into this last set here on Operation Tide Trigger. How are Gnomes going to push this one? I'm curious to see what they're thinking, what they're going to have as options here. They still have the NVGs. They didn't lose them on game 1 or this second map here, excuse me. Map 1 and map 2. They still have it for this setup. So they could use it on this map and go for a power play, potentially in pit. I don't know if they're going to actually do that, though. So it could be interesting to see what they go for.
Keep in mind,
are passive.
they still have the Saber from the defender, so you could see both the mob. I don't think we've seen it before. And the Saber, you could have, you know, just 2 people playing some of those elevated power positions. You could have someone, I don't know, Castle probably too risky, but you have someone in like left part of jungle, upper, the elevated one on the right side, and you can just hold up so many angles. You can even swing those green doors onto pit if they decide to, you know, actually push and go for lights. You can hold in base, you can hold off some of castle, you can hold off the cross from beach. So having 2 snipers there maybe not be the worst idea. I don't know. What do you think? Again, I'm very unknowledgeable about the game.
That's fine. You know, we're all kind of new to the game, of course, in certain ways, and I think this is a good call to make to have people focused in the top side here. You have a lot of different access points, as you just said before, a lot of good sight lines across the entire map from this top spot here, and allows for a fast rotation to the bomb as well. So if you stack up heavily on this side here, there should be a huge play and should be an easy one to read for the defenders. Attackers, though, should be aware of that and can easily counter with some good flashbangs and good pushes on the bottom side here, on up through beach or through the castle, which we kind of saw a little bit before, but ultimately was stopped pretty much dead in its tracks on that push and hold there. So it could be interesting.
We're seeing the mob. We're not seeing the Saber, sadly. I would have loved seeing both snipers, but it's just going to be Tigaman, or Tigaman rather, on, you know, playing jungle sniper, pretty much like we said. No one will be on the other side across from him, though. And we see 2 people playing castle. We see Ghetto in jungle, and then Flogel just playing power. Probably going to just fall back whenever he... There we go, yep. He's going to fall back. He's going to play his life, which is, you know, commendable. I feel like a lot of people on defense just going to try and hold their own for way too long. They ended up getting taken out, and they do very little. But if you fall back, if you play with your teammates, if you go for refrags, you know.
Yeah. I think it makes sense to work with your teammates here to ultimately get the kills. It looks like Index one for the pre-fire. Earlier about Floggle, good read on that position, gets the pre-fire in, and Coop will take out Mace on the bottom side there. Good read and play on Castle. Reptar looking to try and trade up as well, but so far will not find the players just yet. Meanwhile, on pit, we do see Skoog sneaking through, but Floggle will take out Index on the push. They're going very aggressive with that KR as Dylan and Skoog look to try and trade up. Can't find Floggle. He's already escaped, but Floggle going for more. Battles against Reptar and wins that fight. Dylan taking some shots as well from Floggle. Floggle on the absolute killing spree. Ghetto comes in from the top side. Goes for the spray down, but no, Dylan will counter with the kill into Floggle. Sticky Man takes out Dylan on the top side down to just Skoog. Last remaining with low health and just a flashbang and an AP to spare. Not a lot of tools, but has enough to get the job done. Can he do it against Tiga Man and Ghetto holding out the angles here? Photon and Coop as well are watching this one. It's a 5v1. But can Skoog do it is the question. Good pre-fire on jungle. Did not hit the shot across. Dangerously close here. Can Skoog do it?
Oh, he's getting shot at from all angles. He's up against
Oh!
5 people, and Botan is ready for him before I could even get another word out. That is another round for Yakuza and a 4-2 half. So,
Beat us.
pretty much what we expected, right? Yakuza are in the driver's seat, but also Gnomes are, not just, they are trailing behind, but they're not just, they're still playing, they're still, trading punches with Yakuza, even if they're so yeah, I think the second half is gonna go very similarly. I think Yakuza end up prevailing, but Gnomes still put up at least some of a fight. So like 7-4, I think seems like very feasible. Maybe even 7-5.
7-5? Okay. I think the Gnomes, it depends on how these maps go. And Eagle Fang being an interesting courtyard map could be a bit of a surprise for the Gnomes. And equally for Yakuza, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, this is being a kill house map. All the walls are wall bangable heavily. So this is going to be a map like Swiss cheese. It's going to be a lot of shots across from both sides. I
Uh-huh.
need to see how Gnomes are going to push this one. Defenders, though, have a lot of interesting options as well to hold off pushes and breaches here. So they have a couple different things they can do for sure, which are going to be surprising to see. I am curious to see how they're going to ultimately defend this one. They are going to go for the red door breach fast onto the bomb. It's like they're expecting that from attackers, but defenders are also getting the good read on that as well. But defenders are setting up for both breaches on both sides. But they're not expecting
Yeah,
courtyard.
usually on Kill House, you hold kind of the side with the bomb, you hold more, and then you have maybe 1 to 2 people on the other side of the map, but they fall off very quickly. Or you have all 5 people just kind of stack close to the bomb in, the rooms adjacent to the bomb. So that would be like backstage club blockers, maybe even brick house here. But not overextend, because as soon as you overextend as a defender, and if you have, you can just get picked off one by one, and that is exactly what's been going wrong for Gnomes most of the rounds they've lost, I feel like. So
Hmm.
I don't know. From what we see, though, from the defenders, it looks like they are going to be spread out pretty much across the entire map. We see a lot of arrows in brick house, in kitchen, in office. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens here, man.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting to see these approach here. They're going for splitting up this much though is a little bit risky though. You're trying to hold off everything, which means as soon as one team has a good counter, like let's say they go for that left side breach, anybody trying to push through this
Hmm.
left side here is going to be basically Swiss cheese, right? They're going to try and push through the green door here,
Yeah.
get wiped out, or go for courtyard. And as soon as they take control of courtyard, they've got so many access points here with so many windows, so many doors to shoot through. It's going to be a tough one to hold off, and everything on the bottom side of the map is going to be basically dead on arrival. So you only have 3 players on the top side here. They are in a good spot though to counter. And they have a good read on the position there because they do expect it. I think they originally planned for a Locker's push, but optimally opted to go for the brick house instead, which makes sense. A little bit farther away from the bomb, but have some options. But they go for the green door breach as
Oh
well.
no.
Oggle rotates back. They go for the brick house push as well, but Tiggy Man in a good spot puts the barbed wire on, and now sets up for the slow breach.
Yeah, Floggle had the right idea. He tried falling back, but the barbed wire slowed him down just enough. He lost 90% of his HP, so, definitely not a good start. He also has the Ingmar, a very slow-firing weapon, which means head-to-head 1v1s will be super hard. Now, Ghetto gets the entry, and that is Index falling.
There
A
we
lot
go.
of shots coming out from both teams, but none connect just yet. Mate's pretty low, so is Dylan. Botan also one shot.
Ooh, it's a little
Still-
bit risky for this push here.
Yeah.
Oh, a Scoop shot. Nice pick up into
Ooh,
Floggle
okay.
there. It was a good read. We do see now
Yes.
the push happening on the left side here. Oh, Coop with a nice Molotov. Perfectly cooked to perfection. As we see
Still 3 flashbangs on the side of attack, though, so I hope they do end up using them. They're just waiting the molly out, but the second one comes out from Tigaman just as soon as the first one disperses. And players on the attacking side just kind of stuck in that corner on the molly. They barely survived. The molly could have very easily killed them, but now the flashes are coming out, and all 4 attackers are just pushing now. The Gnomes are trying to get him. Dylan actually team kills Scooge. That is not good. They start pushing into club, but Ghetto gets 1, gets 2. Can he get
What
the
a
third one?
play!
Tigaman is ready to finish it off.
Wow.
And the 5th round for Yakuza, just when it looked like Gnomes were actually answering back with a round of their own.
Yeah, what a good recovery there from Yakuza. They had a really good push and hold there from the attackers, taking on the brick house and backstage area. They took a little bit of kitchen as well. They locked down that corner, but ultimately that push, it was a good attempt at one. They had a good idea of what they're looking to do, but ultimately it was the defenders just running and gunning, had their sights lined up, and just dropped all those attackers. They were kind of running in a little bit too, I think, aggressively without the utility in the right spots. They had a good idea of where they thought they were at, but ultimately it was just a bad call there that costed them the round. Plain and simple. But it was a good attempt, though.
Yeah.
It was very
Um.
valiant. Although the team kill didn't help too, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It's understandable.
You think I don't know, like I was already talking about this during the round, but like Fogel, he was playing with the Ingmar, he was playing a pretty close engagement, pretty close angle, and that's already risky when you have a slow rate of fire weapon like that. Yeah, it is hard hitting, but still fires very, very slowly. And he tried falling back, which is something we were talking about. That is what you want to do if you play as extended as um Yakuza were. Sorry, names are escaping me right now. But he got stopped by the barbed wire. As soon as he tried getting away, he kind of got stuck in the doors, and he lost so much of his HP, and he was pretty much screwed for the rest of the round. Because well, when you have such a slow firing weapon, like 1v1 gunfights will be super hard. Before you even get your first 3 shots out, you'll already be rattled with bullets. So
Although Flugel was in a good spot to go for some shots, though, across with that Ingmar. It is slow fire, but it has the good damage potential to shoot through a lot of walls if he knows where they're coming from, which is easier said than done when teams are pretty dynamic and moving around quite a bit. Could have gone for pre-fires there, but ultimately kept his ammo close. But, it ended up costing him his life, but that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles. And now we move on to Operation Malice Fist, a bank map that's got a lot to cash in on. We see an interesting bomb in the vault here, as equally security is going to be a one to watch out for. Defenders, though, are calling
mhm.
off the play. A pretty standard push here for the lobby. And indeed, we do see the Saber there going to be rattling some people in lobby, potentially. But I wonder where the defenders are going to be setting up for and ultimately holding off the breaches. We do see at least a couple little spots there on the top side
Uh-huh.
for spots in bathroom and hall. But so far, that left side and the center of the map, we want to watch out for. As manager is also a spot that can be breached as well.
I was talking to a few players a few days back, and I was just like asking questions about the maps, and I was like, "So, what's the deal with Bang? Do people actually play vents? Like, can I make a lot of Among Us jokes about them?" And they said that Bank is still so new that everyone's still figuring it out, and so there's really no meta yet on Bank in terms of like when to go for vents and when not to. We do see 2 people go into vents here, so there's that. Also, a breach coming out on main entrance. Actually, 3 people in vents now, so it's gonna be a primarily vents push. But Koopy's ready there. If they don't clear him out of the bathroom, it could be a problem. And they have, or he rather, has the Mac in hand. And Knack can be super devastating at those close ranges. Yes, the recall is hard, and the brace animation apparently is atrocious now after the rework. But up close, it can still be super, super hard to play against. And there we go. Dylan will push and just get taken out before he can even get a bullet off. He goes for the second one. He gets it. He retreats. But Scooge is ready on the refrag. Still, Coop
Good
did
attempt.
his job. He got the entry. He got 2.
Let's
Scooge get
go.
the second one. And
Good.
Flogel falls as well. Now it's all evened out. Scooge.
Indeed, Scooge did go for that nice shot across on the left side, but it looks like the right side, though, is being held up for now as Mace and Scooge take control of the right. But so far, the bomb is still in the hands of the defenders for now. Getting Photon in a good spot to counter it. Mace and Reptar sneaking through now. Mace going to be the first one to push in here, battling against Photon with that silenced Gruber. But Ghetto's watching the door. Tigman also watching the door and angle here. Can Mace get the shot and kill is the question. So for Ghetto sneaking through with a pre-shot there, going for the battle. It's going to be a little risky. Going to go for security. Going to go for that slow breach in to block off the position there. Ghetto rotates onto the bomb, though. Battling against Mace. Who's going to get the shot across? Mace going for the aggressive push and peek. Will he get the kill? The question, no. Mace will get the kill, but Tigaman looking to counter it. Photon will battle up with Tigaman, but Reptar and Scoot now rotating into security. It's all or nothing, but Photon gets the first kill, but can Tigaman hold off the push is the question. Goes for the shot to Scoot, does not get the kill, but Photon gets the double kill. The clutch it for the attackers. It's match point for Yaokuza 6-2.
What a round. So obviously great entry from Coop there. It was the odds were really stacked against him, and he still somehow got 2 of them there with the single Mac refrag. He ran out of bullets. There's really not much you can do. He didn't even have time to switch to his pistol. Great refrag from Scooch then, because he did even it out. He just got 2 of his own as an answer to, the entry from Yakuza. But I don't know. This actually looked like a Gnomes round for a long time, and then Yakuza just held it down. They didn't let up. They somehow locked it down, and they won. Like you said, we're on match point right now, and it's everything's looking up for Yakuza at the moment. I feel like they are just so far ahead. They have the Saber, by the way, as well. They picked up the Saber, and we are on Factory, where the Saber can be super useful in defense. There's so many long angles. You can hold so many different things, and they're all viable. You can If the attackers go for the dock breach, you can hold dock with the saber. If they go for, you can hold a lot of vantage points from office. You can look at server farm. You can look at the walkways. You can, I guess, potentially even play in toxic, but I think that is pretty close range. But regardless, saber, if they actually use it this time, because they didn't last time when they picked it up, I think can be pretty devastating here.
I definitely gonna agree. It's gonna be a tough one to watch. Now, the defenders usually have weapons that are a little more close quarters kind of oriented. They do have some long weapons like the Ingmar, like the Op, like the F1 Legros, but they have a lot of
Hmm.
good shotgun options as well. So they like to kind of play. They have a variety of options at their disposal, but I think on this one we're gonna see probably a longer play there. We've seen a lot of Yakuza go for the longer weapon options. We do see that happening for the most part. Although Photon is rocking the grouper, so he's probably gonna sit in toxic. Although how toxic that will be is kind of up to the teams how well it's gonna work out for him. The cargo hold bomb though, facing the bottom side is gonna be very interesting. I'm guessing attackers are probably going to push through Dock and potentially go maybe split counter to Toxic. But I'm guessing we're going to see a push on Dock. We do see Foggle looking to Molotov that off. If they do breach it, the server farm is the only green door here on this map. So they are indeed expecting the push there from the side, probably a split push, which would make sense to counter. We do see the lines being drawn for that to be the case. Makes sense for the attackers to use that one, although it is not a lot of options left in the round. As Yakuza on defenders on defensive sides are pretty devastating. Gnomes had a good push there. I think that last round, if they had kept the momentum up, they probably would have taken the round, but they kind of got a little bit stuck there on the right side of the map. They allowed for some time to breathe, time to refocus, and ultimately Yakuza took the W. So well done to them. But now on to the next map here, and the next round here is match point for Yakuza. Let's see what the Gnomes can do to stop this push from happening, to stop the win going to Yakuza.
Yeah. Well, see, no breaching capabilities from Gnomes here, so pretty tough. There's Barbarian server. They don't even have a nade to get rid of. Actually, they do have a nade. My bad. But
Ooh.
there we go. Botan is already
Oh.
ready on Toxic. He does fire a few bullets, backs off instead. Pre-fire's
Ooh.
coming, but Scooge will actually take him off. Good entry, but Coop is
Ooh.
ready. Raptor falls.
Whoa. Okay.
It feels like
All right.
Yakuza's always ready for the answer with a refrag. They, whenever they lose someone, they just have someone else swing from behind. Mace will get control of Office. Scooges with him. Flashes are coming out, and Ghetto will be the first person to get test them on that walkway. He will push into the flash. Molly comes out, and he's probably just gonna back away. He's gonna play with Tigaman, who is, by the way, playing the long range weapon.
Yeah.
But smokes are coming out, pre-fires are coming out, and the lights did get pulled. That is definitely a huge deficit for the defenders, but they only need to hold for 55 more seconds. Random pre-fires coming out from Index. They almost connect, but not close enough, sadly. Rest of the attackers push the top side of the map. They're in office, they're below office, and Ghetto will fall. Tigaman shits back. He gets one, but that is not enough. Maze gets one, Coop gets one as well, and suddenly we're in a 1v2 where Tigaman has to hold off his own against two attackers. Index
Whoa.
and Dylan
Okay.
have their job cut out for them. Tigaman, they know where he is, but they're not looking in the right direction, apparently. They just go for the bomb, and Tigaman will need to deny it. He doesn't see him. He aims in the right direction, but he needs to drop down. He needs to push with the gat. He does not find it.
Oh,
Nope.
good attempt there. That was a fantastic trial there by Tegan Man to clutch it. But wow, what a play there from the Gnomes. What a comeback from their side, and really were able to lock down the round, lock down the clutch. That was a very, very close game there. Could have gone either way, but at the end of the round there, it was indeed the Gnomes taking the W and staying on alive to go into the final set here. Wow.
Staying alive. Okay, sorry. Yeah, and they somehow pulled through, at least for now. They still have to actually at least tie this map. They cannot win it anymore. They can only tie it. But I don't know. Yakuza have looked so dominant in the past 2-3 maps, and I'm just actually surprised that Gnome somehow won one more.
Yeah, I think they had a good read on the positions, had just kind of a little bit of luck on their side, and really just kind of countered that mid to late game play really well against Yakuza, right? Yakuza had the good early game setup, they had a good approach to lock on angles, but when it came down to the guns to get the time there at the end of the thing, ultimately they just kind of weren't able to lock it down to where Gnomes could kind of counter the positions. They had the good read, and ultimately with Yakuza on the back foot, they couldn't think in time before you already had Gnomes set up with the position. They had the entire thing planned out. Maybe the first part didn't go their way, but they ultimately were able to take that kind of corner view of the bomb in their total focus. And once they lost control of that one, it was GG's for the defenders there. Although Eagle Fang, this is going to be one to watch out for if they do go for the courtyard push and hold, or perhaps go for the same thing we saw last time, which is a brick house push. I think probably pushing kitchen. Probably going to make sense for them, but
Yeah.
see what they have to do here.
Well, Yakuza at the moment, they're just chilling, right? They have this nice cushion lead of 3 rounds still. They can only tie, they cannot lose anymore, and they just need to win one more to bring it home, and then it'll be 1-0, game wise, like we both predicted initially.
Mhm.
So I think even if they let a round or two slip, they can still bring it back very easily. Probably don't want to go to like 6-5 because then the pressure actually starts mustering up. But losing last round, maybe even this one, not too critical for Yakuza. But then again, the sooner they bring it home, the better.
Indeed, they do want to get things going, and indeed, the more rounds they get up against the Gnomes, the better the mind game is in their favor against them, against the other team. But equally, losing a few runs here and there to Gnomes is good. It's also good practice for Gnomes, so they got to be careful. The UAV will spot them through the courtyard if they're not careful, which means they have to be very, very. Their positions had to be very important on how they rotate and how the angles are. I don't think they can actually survive a courtyard push, but maybe if they're fast enough, they could. But I just don't think the timing lines up for them. So this is not accessible to the defenders, but attackers have easy access to that, which would be very, very dangerous. Let's see what the attackers do here on the push. They do get set up for the breach in Brickhouse. Koopa Photon going for that green door push on the other side.
Yep, let's see. Utility coming out slowly but surely. The smokes, the flashes, all the works. And Botan will be pushing into the side of Mace. A bunch of free fires coming out from all directions. Like we said, Kill House so very wallbangable. Index just pushes up pretty aggressively. And if they don't check the corner, they could be in trouble. Barbed in the doorway will help him. Ghetto takes some damage, but sadly not enough. Tigaman will find Cooch as the entry on a very Reptar now playing kind of isolated. He will fall back instead into lockers to be closer to his teammates. And the push from the attackers just coming out. They have the control of the entire bottom side of the map. I don't know if they know that. They're pushing through courtyard. They also have Botan on the shotgun. He doesn't know someone's right behind the wall. Reptar also looking at his doorway. Botan just falls back, plays with his teammate. But Mace is ready there. No one checks him. No, they still get him. How do you get him in?
No.
And it's all falling apart as it's all up to Reptar. He needs to get him. He does not even find the first one. And yeah, like you said, GG. Flawless round to end it off for Yakuza here as they go into game 2.
Indeed, that was a flawless victory there for ultimately Yakuza. Able to lock down the round, able to show them how it's done and just push through, finesse the map like a smooth thing. And that was fantastic to see there. Good teamwork, good overall communication there from the Yakuza side to bring in the win. Gnomes had a good position, had a good mindset kind of with the approach there, but ultimately, when it came game time and it came time in the round, they lost their gun skills, they lost their rotation skills, they had nowhere to go, and ultimately it was just a good plain, clean fun from Yakuza for the first round and first game win overall.
Well, you said 7-2, I said 7-4, so middle ground. It's a
In the middle,
7-3. A
be the
very
middle.
convincing, a very convincing game from Yakuza, nonetheless. Like, yeah, they did lose a few rounds, but when they looked good, they looked amazing. When they looked bad, it was never really critical, I think. So, that's pretty much it. Unless you want to talk about the game some more, unless you want to analyze something, I think we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then we're gonna be back with game 2.
Sure, I'll just do one quick thing. I want to say GG's to Gnomes and really I'm proud of how well they did against the Yakuza here. Yakuza are a
Hmm.
fantastic set of teams and a fantastic set of players as well. They are very, very devastating to play against. Floggle is very unusual in how he approaches stuff and how he kind
Okay.
of operates. And they did a fantastic job as an overall unit for the Gnomes. So GG's, they had a good play. I'm proud of how well they did today. I know they kind of struggled in the last event, but now they're doing a name for themselves and they've really earned their keep. And I think they lose the first game here, but I think game 2, game 3 is going to be a surprise to watch out for sure. A lot of people predicted against them, but I think Gnomes are here to maybe do an upset here on game 2.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much like they still have 2 games to bounce back, Yeah, they've lost the first one, but you can always bounce.
Box, are you there?
Not the worst thing in the world. They can count it up as like practice if nothing else.
Indeed, I think so. And with that being said, as we're going to go to a quick break, we'll be back in 5 minutes with game 2 of Yakuza versus Gnomes. This is the Due Process League. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Due Process League. I'm back here with Stuff Shark, indeed, alongside Boxy. How you doing today?
I'm still doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, good, good, good. I am doing
Good?
fantastic. What a
Okay.
set of games we just saw there. That was interesting to see Yakuza and Gnomes battling out. They did a great job in that overall battle there. Fantastic to see all that happening. Ultimately, it was Yakuza taking the first game here. Game 2, do you see it going the same way?
Yes, honestly.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Apparently your opinion like just heavily relies on, game 1. and Yakuza took that dominantly. So I don't see Gnomes bouncing back, but I still think it'll be a pretty interesting matchup.
Okay, okay, I gotta agree. I think it's gonna be fantastic to see this next set here. Gnomes did a lot
Hmm.
better than I expected for the first round here, so I think we're gonna see a very, very close game in game two. So
Okay,
I'm excited to see who's gonna ultimately take this one. Yakuza definitely have a strong advantage in this one, but Gnomes have a
hmm,
chance too of bringing it to a tie,
for
potentially game
sure.
three, maybe even win. Surprise for sure, potentially possible. Anything is possible in due process, and indeed, it's
Exactly.
gonna be a fantastic one to see here.
Yep.
Weapon wise, and I think map wise, did anything surprise you that last set there?
No, not really. I've seen you were asking me about standout players, and well, just looking at the players in lobby, I realized Reptard is also playing, and he didn't really have those standout moments today. But I've heard that like he recently got picked up and to Gnomes, and he's been really known in like lower tier teams for his sniping, and that's why he got picked up. So I really hope that we get to see him shine on those snipers in this game, because we have seen him on snipers a few times, but there are really no standout moments. I think he wasn't really given the chance to, with how Yakuza, shut them down consistently. And let's hope that he can, kind of give us some showing on game two.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a chance that he can do that. I've seen some good plays from him as well on that side. I am
Hmm.
excited to see how they're going to play and how the second map set's going to go. House set wise, we saw a lot of big, big maps in the last one. A lot of big kill house, big factory maps, and even a little bit of a surprisingly large C store there for the most part.
Yeah.
The second set here, even the bank was pretty big too. I got to be honest, that was a huge bank. They were really cashing all that in there.
Yeah.
The second set here, I think we're gonna see Gnomes probably take maybe a few games here, but I don't think they can take the ultimate, the game for the entire thing. A couple rounds, of course, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just not sure yet who's gonna take this one. I definitely think Yakuza are gonna probably get it, but in
Yeah.
any case, weapon wise, who do you think is gonna be a standout, if anybody?
Well, I think pretty much the same players as game one. They were. I feel like everyone was really pulling their weight. I don't think there are many people who have been kind of slumping. I do want to see a little bit more out of Mace. I've also heard great things about him. Scoot's been doing well. Index's been doing well. Flogel as well. Like we've just really seen kind of an all around ensemble of great players on both sides. I feel like.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think we've really seen a lot of good performances from Floggle, doing a lot of good stuff with the Molotovs. Indeed, a lot of
Hmm.
good plays there from Tiki Man as well, with some nice shots with the mop.
It's true.
And I gotta shout out Ghetto, right? Getting that 3K with Coop on a 2K there on Factory. That was fantastic. That was an
Yeah.
amazing clutch from Yakuza there on the last round. So it's
Hmm.
gonna be exciting to see. I'm curious though about you. What's your favorite tile set? What's your least favorite?
Uh, Least favorite has to be actually. I was gonna say Kill Dome, but I think I now maybe enjoy Kill House even less. There's a lot of those narrow hallways, but yet everything is
Yeah.
wall bangable, and you're just always being shot at from like six rooms away. And we've actually seen that on the last Kill House that we've seen. Like people were getting killed across mad log angles, even though there were so many walls in the way. And I'm not a fan of that. So I think actually Guild House is my second least favorite now. The one that I like the most probably C Store, I guess, or Factory even.
Okay.
So yeah, Bank is also pretty fun, but it's super time demanding. And for me as a new player, I often like lose track of time, and I'm too slow on things. By the time I get to the button, there's no time to actually get to the vault to defuse. So there's that.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think it's tough to learn kind of the timings of that one because it's is as much as a simple bomb defusal, equally the timing rotations on big maps, you can't make mistakes. And if you're slow in the
Hmm.
game, it's easy to make those mistakes, not realizing something. Oh, I'm looking for players. Oh no, the time. Oh no, it's too late. Now I have to go and leave, try and stay
Yeah.
alive. It's unfortunate sometimes with big maps like that. Factory can have that too for sure, but definitely in Bank, they can be pretty big sometimes. Where if you don't get the button right, you're out of luck, which happens on Kill House as well, which is
Yeah.
it can be very
For sure.
frustrating when you're there. You lock down the map, you think, oh, I got this one, totally in the books. We got it in the bag. We're out of here. We're gonna take the W, and you look and it's like, wait, where's the bomb? Oh, it's over on this side of the map. Oh, I gotta hit the button. There's not enough time. We have to leave now to throw the round away, which sucks. It is unfortunate when that happens. That's why it's important to keep your eyes and mind in the game and on the map at all times to not lose track of all that stuff. But it's easier said than done, of course. These are some of the best players in the game, of course, within due process are auto battling here, and it's good to see though.
Did you
Very
ever
very
give me
happy.
your least favorite tile set?
Ooh, least favorite from
I
me.
don't think you gave it to me. Yeah,
Ooh, I
I just think you
don't
said
think
you
I
love
did.
Kildom. Yeah.
I do. I
Oh.
love Killed for its uniqueness, but that's a tough one because there's a lot of things I like about Factory, but dislike about really all the tile sets have something I'm a for and against. Kill
Okay,
House
that's fair.
has they have everything has their good and pros and cons, right? Because Kill Dome, obviously it's fun, it's kind of creative, but trying to strategize against it is a total nightmare because you have so many things variable all the time. All your angles are weird. Everything's out of sorts from where the other kind of maps are. So it's kind of a challenge for sure. It's a bit of
Mhm.
a wild card in itself. So it's tough to play against and play with if you don't have a good kind of understanding of the map and the
Yeah.
possible tile sets you could play against. But equally, Bank is such a weird kind of combo like that where you have it's almost like a factory C-store mishmash thingy that's like
Mhm.
big
I
but
I
small.
know
It's
what you mean.
very like
Yeah.
Clubhouse. It's very interesting, which it makes it a challenge to strategize against, but equally I think it's just oh man, what is my least favorite? I don't think I have a least favorite because they're all great in their own way, but all kind of are bad in their own way too. I would say if I had to pick one for sure, of just only one, I'd probably say Bang. But that's just because I don't
Okay.
know it well enough. It's such a weird one that it still takes some time to learn. But once we learn it, I think it'll join the rest of the fold with maps that are great. But they all have their pros and cons. Its due process isn't entirely its own thing, and every single every 2 weeks, right? We're changing maps, we're changing entirely different
Yeah.
gameplays here. So it varies. Sometimes it's kill house maps are the ones that oh geez, it's kill house. Other times, oh it's
Yeah.
the C store maps. Oh, C store. Sometimes it's kill dome. Oh great, another kill dome. Where it's just like random
Uh-huh.
mishmashes. It happens, right? So every single tile set has its pros and cons. I'm neutral on this one. So I like
Okay.
all. I like none of them either.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, one of the most captivating things about due process is, these ever-changing maps, and it's as innovative and as, intriguing as it is, it's also very daunting for new players just because you cannot like when you play, I don't know, Counter-Strike or Siege or like one of those other traditional FPSs, you can kind of like, you can Google it, you can watch pros play, and you can see how they set up on specific sites. But here, the information that you get from those is pretty much obsolete by the time that you actually get to play the same map because they're just so very dynamic that I don't know, you don't really get to do what the pros do the
Yeah,
map.
at the same level,
So yeah,
definitely.
definitely a steep learning curve, but a very interesting one.
That it is, and it looks like we are on Operation Zeus Vox, a killhouse map with a big breezeway. That is a humongous one if I've ever seen one myself. A lot of windows there, a lot of access points for the attackers. They're going to have to use a breaching charge to get in there, but an interesting one as well in reception with an interesting window there, looks like. I am curious to see how they're going to play this one. They have a lot of different options at their disposal here. And with a bomb in the left side here for Breezeway, this is such a strange map combination here. I am I'm very curious on how they're going to push this one. They could easily go for a couple different options. They could go for reception, kind of snake around through here. Of course, they're going to get shot up a bunch by Brickhouse, potentially a pillbox. Also, a pillbox on this map, which is usually as you see in the kind of center of the map. It's on the outskirts. It's on the outer edge here, which is going to be a little strange, right? It's not going to be as effective, right? This window shooting out to ultimately nowhere. Maybe they go for information for players leaving spawn, but leaving the truck, of course, leave spawn in that sense. But it's interesting, right? It's a
Yep,
lot of different options. It's going to be a tough one to battle against.
for sure. Well, I think you pretty much said it all. There's literally nothing for me to add there. We also have a beautiful drawing in the bottom right corner coming out
The true
from
artist of due process here, drawing the Amogus and drawing Peter Griffin.
oh yeah, and then a smiley face next to them. You
Oh,
know, like here's the smiley face. Look at it.
smiley face. Yep, he's
So yeah,
having a good attitude about it.
Flogel blessing us with some precious art. But yeah, if you're Yakuza at the moment, I think you can just kind of vibe. You can draw around the map.
Yeah. Let's see what they opt to do here. They have kind of a setup for pillbox. It looks like they're looking
Yeah.
for the angle across. They do have Skoog though, waiting for that push. But Skoog's rotated on the other way, perhaps looking to try and hide out from the information there. All 5 players there, all the attackers, are pushing to the side by
Oh,
Floggle. Gets a nice
okay.
pick up there onto Skoog.
Yeah, great entry for sure. And there's just no one really contesting that anymore, which we were talking about earlier, and I think that's still a good thing. I think you need to be closer to the bomb on big maps like this, especially on kill houses. But now literally everyone is funneled
Ooh.
together, and on a wall bangable map like this, that could be a problem. Botan does take quite a little bit of damage there. He's
Yeah, it's a little bit risky there. But Flog, on the other hand, is snuck up on the top side here and is going for shots through the breezeway here into these other players. Because this map is wallbangable, it means the other backside is wallbangable, which we see Floggo trying to do now. They do go for the breach there into Club. Dylan goes about to counter it, has the Molotov and has the KR, but has only time for the KR. But Coop runs through and just destroys Dylan as Index Retro trying to stay by Index. It's taken up by Ghetto. But oh, what a defensive play here. Mace trying to hold in for
Wow.
the block, but so far attackers are just showing them how it's done. Mace picks up Coop on the bomb, but Tiki Man still countering
Reptar though.
Photon. Counting as well. Oh, Reptar on the other side though. Sneaks from behind, but Ghetto says no. Not
No.
today. As Mace comes in for clutch kill against Photon. Still in the fight, battling against Ghetto and Tiki Man, but ultimately Ghetto gets the kill. That's 3 kills for him this round.
Oh
And it's the first
man.
round to ultimately Yaokuza 1-0.
Yeah. If only Reptar got that one, that could have been a devastating flank for the attack. But somehow, Ghetto was ready. He got 3 this round. Flogel 1, Coop 1. And I also am surprised if you just look back at how Coop swung Dylan there under the stage. I feel like he just swung that with 2 other people looking at him, and he just went by unpunished for some reason. So, kind of, I don't know, Gnomes could have, they could up their refrag game just a little bit. But then again, like you said, they are playing against Yakuza, one of the top teams in DP at the moment, so you can't hold against them too much, I guess.
Yeah, indeed, Yakuza, I believe, are top 3 kind of in the relative position. They are a fantastically strong team, and so far, Gnomes did a good job countering considering their last seeding, at least. They have done a great job to end up here in
Mhm.
semifinals. Of course, this is a best of 3 for those who are tuning in just now. Best of 3 so far. Yakuza won game 1, 7-2, I believe, 4, possibly 5, but it was still a fantastic set in
3.
game 1 here. Game 2, though, 7-3, excuse me. Thank you. 7-3.
Welcome.
Game 2, though, has been very, very good with No and ultimately Yakuza playing now on Operation Pure Liberty. This is a very the map is definitely full of liberty. There's a lot of big spaces here, a lot of long sidelines shooting out here from Texas all the way to California here. Long shots across here. Indeed, look at that beach all the way from like Virginia all the way across to like Oregon. What is this long
Oh my
sidelines
god.
across here? What is this? This this looks like a factory map almost. You can have me look at this mop shot here potentially. This is just devastating to play against. This is gonna be a good one to
Well,
watch for the defenders and attackers.
we have strong, sniper slash long range weapon players on both teams, so I'm actually what they do here. I don't know. I do hope they can, kind of whip out those snipers here. They can, work with them a lot. I think there's definitely room for that. The attackers do seem to be kind of wanting to go for those lights, but the defenders also seem to be ready for that. You see, the barbed wire right behind the doors. You also see that there's going to be at least 1, if not 2 people playing that pit to kind of contest the lights push. Should open up to be a split from what I see, because the attackers seem to both want to go for lights and for beach. Unless they're actually just going for lights from beach, which is, extremely ballsy and probably not recommended.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky for the Biscuit there. They have some options. It makes sense to pincer this position here on pit. They have access points. They can also, while pincering here, they can also push and aim out through these sides here, which makes sense because they'll be pushing through here, aiming through these sides here. Of course, this right side angle through base is going to be very tough to push through and stay alive with. So it makes sense when to go for the split push also in pits for a little more of a safer approach. But equally, I think the defenders are going to be heavily stacked up here on the top side, raining down fire. They do have the high ground, and against, they got to be very careful here on this push and hold. They could use some good flashbangs to counter that one, but equally, the sus play on beach could just be effective enough for the win here. But let's see what they opt to do here. We do see at least 1 mop, or excuse me, a saber on Tiga Man, and indeed a mop on Reptar, with 2 flares as well.
Flares? I don't know. What is your opinion on flares? How competitively viable do you think they are? Because from what I've been told by most of the players, they're kind of like, not a trolley pick, but you usually don't bring them.
It depends. I mean, there's a use case for them in certain positions, certain angles that are like common sight you can put them in a good spot and it'll throw off your night vision goggle view, but it's never always a guarantee that it's going to be effective. So it's a bit of a meme too, because you also throw it off like a Molotov, excuse me, not a Molotov, but it could be, very, very good to throw off somebody who's overly aggressive, who's like, oh, I'm going to, hunt and, going for the kill, run in too fast and just see that, and, oh, I'm going to turn away from the Molotov or run away and give that access point. Although Coop, nice pickup there in the Reptar, shooting across their good Molotov, stops it dead in his tracks and forces the team into a tough spot here. They push through and take control of the center here. Oh, Coop, another kill onto Dylan, is really working on some job here, and Flogel takes out Mace. It is just a clean round cleanup. A Skoog makes it a little bit tougher, takes off only 1, but Photon gets the trade up his index, takes out Coop. Leads it to a 3v1.
Yeah, frags coming out from all directions, all up to index, but he will get taken out while throwing a Molotov, just kind of caught with his pens down. And that is another round there. Very, very clean, actually, for Yakuza. There's really not much to say. I feel like the break that Gnomes had did them no good. They didn't really manage to reset their mentality well there, and they're just kind of falling apart at the moment. And they could still, compose themselves later on, but at the moment, I think it's just not looking good for them.
I gotta agree. It's gonna be a tough one to come back from. They lost a. They had a pretty good map set up. They had a good position to hold on the defensive side, but ultimately it was just a good smoke, a good counter, and a really early pick there. That stopped them dead in their tracks. They had the sight line. They had the perfect spot. Both the Molotov going off that spot, losing that access, losing control. Attackers used that to advantage, pushed past their base, and just ultimately finesse the map. They just finesse the team. It's just a pure clean W to the Yakuza there on that round. But equally, there are many more rounds to go here, and we could see the Gnomes with a comeback. There is indeed a reality in which that happens. Hopefully, maybe this one, but maybe is another one. We'll just have to we'll have to see if they can do it or not. But I think the Gnomes, there's still a chance. I still believe in them.
I mean, who doesn't love a good underdog story, right? Like,
Mhm.
those are the best. But is it going to happen here? I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. Yakuza seem to still be on top of things. They seem ready. I just don't know if we can dispute that. I think they're just kind of, strolling through. Will Gnomes pick it up? Possibly, but is it probable? I don't think so.
Mm. Well, yeah, I think it's gonna be a challenge for them for sure, but anything's possible. Maybe
Hmm.
in this different reality, Gnomes can get the sudden win. They get the comeback, they get the momentum. They just start decking Yakuza onto the knees and send them packing potentially. But it's a long shot for sure. So far, we haven't seen a really big performance from them yet, but they haven't also been on attack. They've only been on defense, which means when they swap sides after these next two rounds here, we could see them have a bit of a comeback potentially against Yakuza because it looks like so far we've seen a lot of very attack-heavy maps here in this setup.
That's a fair observation, but even if you as a defender, you just lost 3 rounds and then you switch to the attacker sided rounds, you're still 3 rounds behind, which definitely will negatively affect your mental. And just the pressure from that, I think, can be a huge disadvantage as opposed to just going in it from 0-0. So if maybe Gnome started an attack on these attacker sided maps, then yeah, but I don't know. I hate to be, the party pooper, the disbeliever, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a long shot for sure, and yet the mind games have a big impact on the game, especially when you have a couple close rounds like that where it's close, but then you just lose it, or you just get cleaned out like that where you have no options, no chance. You get maybe one or two kills, one kind of
Yep.
lucky shots there here and there, but when it's just a clean finesse like that, it is a huge mind game destroyer. So it's gonna be a tall order for the Gnomes to hold off this push here. It looks like they're setting up for a breach in the entrance here.
Mm.
Let's see if they can hold off the push or if it's going to be another round to the Yaokuza here as they push through. They go for this play here. They do go for the breach early on into the fence there. Going for some sussy spots there, but let's see if they can hold it off for now.
Yeah, the breach coming out, pretty much like you said. We do also have Ghetto playing the mob, by the way. He collected it last round, and he plans on using it since it is the last round. Also, locking down the lobby with the mob world. They just kind of breached or flashed towards security. And there's really no contention coming out from the defender so far. They do have one player playing in that vault, as we know, and there's three players, sorry, close to accounting, one in manager, which means that security, bathroom, loans, hole, and teller are all for the taking. They just, Yakuza needs to realize that, and they need to stop wasting the time.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to lock down angles of potential rotations. Like we see Ghetto watching for this long pick across here. It makes sense to hold off that push. They're going for the bomb. They're trying to clear up the button here to see if they may be holding that position because they don't know yet that it's clear, that hallway is totally open yet. But we can see that. And Dylan and Reptar are indeed keeping themselves with the bomb here. It's going to be very risky for the push here. But now comes the team fight as they all went for the accounting push. They have a lot of good cover in their side. So they're going to go for the small battle here because they figured probably going to go for the long weapons here. Ghetto gets the pickup onto Index as Mace tries to hold off the push. He's swapped out for this game now. Dylan
Yep.
and Reptar on the bomb, but ooh, Skoog in a tough spider getting double flashed. D looks
Flies
like they're
another
going for
coming out, and both only need to come and help his team. He's currently playing in.
Ooh, yeah, he's going for it. Floggle's actually going through and the manager as well from behind, but Mace with the flick and a half gets the kill to Floggle. What a play and what a kill there. Oh, but they're going for the bomb
Oh
again too, man. Going
no!
for the push. Oh no, the strategy. Oh, double kills though. Oh,
Auto
but will
shotty
they
from
stay
Scooch
alive?
barely
Oh,
misses out. Coop was
oh,
very
oh,
low, and
but
it's all up to
whoa.
Bodon. He's up against
We're
two.
not
He
gonna
takes a
get it.
lot of fire damage. He gets
What?
one. Can he get Raptor? Yes, he
Oh,
can!
wow.
How do you win that
Oh,
round? You're not allowed to get away with that. That is not allowed, Boton.
wow. Will they
What
get
the
the bomb defuse
hell?
on time is the question.
Yes!
Oh,
Yes, he
the last
does!
second defuse. Oh
Oh
my goodness.
no!
What
I
is
was
this?
celebrating that too fast. I didn't realize
Wow.
how low on time they were. Oh my god. But perfect bet.
Wow.
3-0 for
Photon.
Yakuza. They
Woo!
seem unstoppable. And this round, if anything, is a motivation booster.
That is gonna be a huge, huge win for the Yakuza in their mind game, and just in every game there. That was an amazing play, amazing read. I gotta give props though to Gnomes throwing that Molotov there, made it the game so close. It was within 1 second of a win there. They are that close to bringing it back, but ultimately it was Photon bringing a little bit of magic, brings it in for the win there, 3-0 right now. It's going to be devastating to come back from. Now once again on Zeus Vox, a strange, strange Killhouse map, if I say so myself. It is I don't know what this layout is trying to be like. It's just like it's like a cell almost in a body because you have
Yep.
get your mitosis. Of course, you got all your different elements of it. Nucleus over
Mhm.
here. I mean, it's just a strange. It's an interesting one for sure. And it looks like they're gonna go for a bit of a change up and actually go for the breach on with cover on this side here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm also loving how, Boton didn't take any damage into Molly, and then Boton fires back with saying, "Oh no, I did. Your team just missed." You gotta love the rivalry, the banter between the teams, as long as it is, kind of contained to the game, as long as it doesn't get out of hand in Discord later on. Wink, wink, due process community. Um, so keep up the banter, just know when to stop. But round four, and you were already talking about the kill house. Sorry.
Yeah, this is such a weird Kill House map, and indeed, it's gonna be interesting to see how they opt to push this one. Gnomes are interesting on how they approach things, but equally Yakuza are a little bit out of the box. We've seen them kind of do some ordinary stuff and ordinary strats in the past, and so far this game they've kept the pretty standard meta stuff that we've seen. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of even either way. It could be an easy one for the Gnomes here, but they are facing a very huge mental game loss here. They just faced on the last round there. So close, losing like that is just devastating to the performance of those teams.
Yep.
But equally, it could be a bit of surprise factor here. I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I do want Gnomes to win at least a few rounds here. I think they can, but I don't know. Well, I don't want a 7-0 blowout, even if it's shaping up to be one at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I do want Gnomes to at least put up a fight because they're definitely capable of it. But will they do it? I'm not sure. Mantle is chalked, especially when you think you threw a molly somewhere and someone should have died inside of it, but instead killed all of your team. That's definitely an
Oh,
ego destroyer. But
so machine for
mainly
sure.
a reception push. Also,
Mm.
quickly, just to mention this, we
Oh,
do see that, okay, Coop is now sprinting up, but before that,
oh,
oh, he just went for the bar. That was
wow.
ballsy, my man. He survived, and Squidge actually takes a lot of damage there. Bullets are coming out from all
Ooh.
direction, but that is just Kill House. Everything's wall
Oh,
bangable,
all
and
right, all
Index
right,
actually
all right.
gets ghetto. Good night and goodbye. Coop will have to refrag that out. He's in the same position. Surely they don't pre-fire the same thing twice, do they? Mollies are coming out. He probably has another one
All
ready.
right,
No, he
all right.
doesn't. He will just back off, however. He's just vibing there. And now Boton is there to help him out as well. But it's still a 4v2 there. They do have Scooch playing outside, but he finally enters the building as well. Still a 5v2. Only 1 minute 15 seconds left. The attackers are kind of swamped. And once again,
Uh-oh.
in such a wall-bangable map,
Push.
funneling like that is super dangerous.
Oh,
Index takes damage,
crispy.
so does Scooch, but Index does
Ooh.
get a second one. Will he get the third one or the fourth
Oh,
one?
here it
We
comes.
will see. Mollies are
Oh,
coming out, though.
oh. Indeed, and we just see Flugel on a bit of a sneaking spot here, playing a bit of rotation on the top side here. Could go for the play on the backside, but Tiga Man is actually playing a good counter to the spot here on the right side. But they're going to go for the breach on the side here. Photon, they're going to have to rotate in position. Can they do it? Flugel trying to play back and forth here. Dylan pushing through. Gets killed.
Oh!
Going to
Oh!
get the trade up, but Scoop trades just as quickly. It's all down to Flugel in a 1v4. Can he come up clutch? They're already on the bomb. They have all position locked down. Flugel, nowhere to go. Just an Ingmar and a Dream. Can he come up clutch, or is Gnomes going to take those round win and Mace sneaking slow? Can he get the pick? Yes, Reptar
Nope.
will actually get the kill instead from a long ways away with the shotgun. That's the W, the first one for this game here for Gnomes, 1-3.
Oh my god. What a round. What a bunch of refrag. Just, the entries, the kill on Ghetto, Index's entry, just that wallbang was practically insane. And it may just, seem insane to me as a new player. I haven't seen many of these yet, but props for just seeing the map play out for 15 seconds and then knowing where to wallbang and what to wallbang and when to wallbang. So, hats off.
Yeah.
There we go. Gnomes finally won a round, and I'm proud of them. This was a textbook round from what I've seen. Yakuza literally didn't have an answer there. So keep it up, boys. And potentially
Yeah.
girls. I don't know if we have any. And
I don't know if
I
there's
don't
any.
think we do, but just to not rule anyone out.
Mm-hmm. In
Kill
any
House.
case,
Or Kill Dome, sorry.
Kill
We
Dome,
went from Kill
one of the
House onto Kill Dome.
Indeed, a lot of killing is going to happen on both maps. That is for sure. And we're now on once again on Operation Pure Liberty, which was a purely catastrophic round there for the Gnomes. Ultimately, Yakuza came in big on the nice kill here early on the Molotov kill and just ran through the base here, cleaned it out, cleaned through the jungle, and just ultimately did a strong, fantastic push here. But now with Yakuza on the aggressive attacking side, it's going to be a tough one for the Gnomes defenders to hold off the push. But indeed, previously called the Gnome Dome defenders, this is their tile set. This is their map of choice. We'll see if they can hold off the push here, if it's going to be another quick run here for Yakuza.
IRL like stadium announcements, and then I asked him to cast like an announcer for the entire round. He didn't want to do it, but do you want to do it? Do you want to cast as like an announcer? You gotta imitate the announcer that is in the game for a
Ooh,
round.
I could probably do that, although I don't know how
Okay,
interesting that would be. I mean, I could easily
okay.
do that, but it's
There
up
you
to
go.
you.
He accepted the challenge, baby. Let's go. Well, you're doing it. You're the
Okay,
car
well,
salesman. Well, you sound
I'll
like
be your
one.
car salesman for today, at least in this one round here. But anything before we get into that fun business here, is there anything in the map wise you see this could be an interesting surprise, like the push up and observation?
Well, yeah, observation, we do see the chargers there, the clackers there, whatever. So that means probably no power push. I very, very much doubt that gnomes are gonna, breach two things. So
Mhm.
I assume it's a split between beach and observation. And it's pretty interesting to me, but I guess you can go without it as well. And I was just being told the other day that usually kill domes are the one maps where you can kind of eco off, just save any explosives for the future. So bringing two would make very little sense for me. And they only do have one door charge, one clacker, more standard than going for two.
Indeed, they are clack-a-lackin' up in observation, ready for the breach, and also the split beach breach up in the bottom side here. They go for the fast breach in early on. Ghetto in a good spot. Coop also waiting with that tub, looking to go tub thump in the base here. Should be a fantastic one to watch as they go in for the slow breach and slow hold. As Dylan and looks like Skoog going for the long shot through observation, looking to observe something. But Fogel and Photon are a good spot to counter. And Ghetto dangerously close to Mace in a good position to counter this one. Oh, goes for the shot towards Mace. Did not get the kill, but is very, very close in range. Coop on a good spot as well. Photon go for the good shots and cross air into Index Reptar, but Reptar facing across with the Saber Team Man as well, shooting a long ways through the pit there. I don't believe he's actually playing the nice cheap angle here through the side here. Nicely done there by Tigaman. A lot of shots from both sides, but ultimately not a lot of damage done. Ghetto taking a couple shots there. Tigaman taking some shots as well, but still battling on and still staying on for dear life as Dylan goes for the good push and flash here into that top side. Going for the breach. Skoog in a good spot here to counter as well. Has just a flashbang, but Dylan in a good spot. Oh, but Dylan double kill. On a Mace takes out Floggle. Taking out the push in jungle, but Tigaman on the other side goes for the shot towards Mace. Did not get the kill just yet, but Mace will get the
Oh
kill
my
instead. But
god.
Coop, look at this, hiding in the base. He's playing
He's
sussy,
ready
but
for
Ripard
it, but he
destroys his
doesn't
face.
find it.
Oh, what a clutch
Oh
there.
my
Looks
god.
like Gnomes take the round there, 2-3.
You
What a
know
play.
what? You were right. I was wrong. Again, this is a common theme today, but these seem to be extremely attacker-sided rounds. We see, we see the attackers pretty much clean up with the defenders, and I'm not sure if it's the teams or if it's actually the maps. I assume it's the maps. And let's see if somehow, some way, Gnomes can pull off a Christmas miracle and actually tie it up 3-3 in the next round.
You know, I think it's possible. We did see some pretty good plays there from the Yakuza as well, but definitely saw Dylan with a big play here in the top side, able to take out a lot of players on the fast push, allowed for access for Mace to push through into jungle and push on the flanks. Reptar as well, playing a passive spot here, took out Coop in a pretty strong position there. Playing a bit of a cheese, kind of a Mogus spot here, hiding out in plain sight, but it worked out well for him. Indeed, it was hiding in
Um,
this.
we've seen a lot of players from Yakuza kind of be in the backside of the map, like close to jungle, and just kind of like shoulder peek out and just take a few pop shots and then get back in. And that on paper should have worked well. They had a lot of long range weapons. We saw like the lag roses and stuff come out. And somehow every time they swung out, none of the shots hit, but they always got their health chipped away. So by the time they got to one-on-one, head-to-head, gunfights, they were already super low, and I think that is what punished them the most. So either their positioning from the beginning should have been, set up better, sorry, or
Mhm.
they, I don't know, should have hit those pop shots, one of the two, or both.
Yeah, I think there was some good attempts there for holding out the angles, but really was just a tough one to kind of counter with. Although now on Operation Copper Hurricane, a big, big lobby here, but we saw the good team play here from Gnomes to try and block it off to just the battle and accounting, which gives you more cover for the defenders here. We'll see if the now defensive side of Yakuza opt to keep for that strat or go for maybe a longer push in lobby. and go for the counters that we saw. Looks like Yaokuza take a lot of time clearing up. Can spend a lot of time clearing up this angles here, clearing up the hallway. We could see them using that to their advantage and now countering it from those sides.
Yeah, the button is super, super far away from the wall and far away from the positions that you would usually hold. So now you kind of, you have to make that choice. Will you sacrifice manpower and utility to kind of try and hold the button? Or will you just fall back early, let the attackers have access to it, and hope that you can hold down manager, accounting, and vault? And we have seen Gnomes, go for the latter option. And I am very curious to see if Yakuza do the same or if they just kind of split it out. They do seem that they'll be playing at least a few. They'll be positioning at least a few people close to the button.
Hmm.
But again, splitting out on a huge map like this also has its cons. So we'll just see what ends up working better in practice.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky because you're facing, instead of facing 2v1s or 3v1s, you're facing 1v1s in different spots, which means if the other team has a good counter to that one, can read the position, they can definitely go in and stack up 2 or 3 people per side. And now you're facing a, 1v2, you're not going to win those. I mean, it's
Yep.
good to have information, but it's definitely a little bit risky. It could work out in their favor, though, if they have a stack up there in loans, which I think is going to be very, very a surprise for the Gnomes here.
For sure. And let's see what Gnomes actually decide to do. They have 4 bodies stacked up on the main entrance. We'll see if anyone else kind of retreats back to the vent to help out Index there, but for the time being, he is alone, and he will not be very heavily contested if he decides to go into Manager. Flogel will be waiting behind the doors, and Ghetto will be there to assist him as well, but he can probably safely drop flashbangs are coming out from the Gnomes, and they get quite a bit of control into lobby very early on. No one's playing those tellers. No one's really Photon rather are both in
Ooh.
Hull and Loans respectively.
Yeah, this is an interesting slope push here from the attacking side of the Gnomes here. Yakuza are playing well to keep it calm, not to make any early mistakes, any early plays, not give anything just yet. But so far, the Gnomes are really taking their time, but time is of the essence, and they're running out of it very quickly. So they need to make a play here. They need to do something, or the round's going to be running out of time. They're going to be out of time to actually defuse it. So they have to go and get these kills and do something, or it's going to be a win to Yakuza here. Let's see what they can do here. Oh,
Oh, good
Fluggle!
night.
Oh,
Auto
nice
shotty
switch on
comes
the
in
board.
clutch.
Whew.
Sorry.
That
Go
one's
ahead.
definitely going to be a challenge for sure. We do see Floggle, though, moving back into accounting, playing his passive as Coop comes in for the play here. They've gone for the button push to block off the entryway to the main bomb defusal spot there. They've now gone for the button push by the defenders, not by the
Oh
attackers.
no. Oh, he gets it.
Oh, what a play. Photon going for the shots as well, but ultimately Skoog will clear him out. Floggle now running through tellers, going for the surprise flank from behind. Reptar will see this coming. Oh, puts the button at the right time here. But can Floggle get the kill is the question. Nobody on the bomb yet. 20 seconds remaining. Index. Oh, a perfectly timed Molotov. Even if they get the button open in time, will they have enough time to defuse is the question. Tigman picks up 1 on the Reptar. Oh, but can he get 2 is the question. Skoog and
Floggle
Index trying to
also
go
come
out here.
in.
Not enough time to defuse, but Ghetto gets picked on Index. From behind, Floggle takes out Skoog. And that's the round to Yakuza. What an amazing clutch. 4-2.
I think. There we go. That answers our question from earlier. I guess having people spread out like that is better, especially if the attackers decide to just kind of go for the objective and not really clear it out. Because we've seen Coop play in the hallway for such a long time next to the button, and yes, he ended up losing a very, very close range gunfight to I think it was Floggle on the Saber. So that is something that probably should have happened. But more importantly, then or no, sorry, to Reptard, obviously. Then Floggle was actually able to come in and just flank later on. The mollies and the volts were also perfect, like you said. They had 2 for 20 seconds, so there's literally nothing else that you can wish for. And the flank from Floggle was only available because he wasn't actually pushed out during the rounds. He was just vibing. He was uncontested. And I think that is Gnomes' biggest mistake there. They elected to... They didn't directly hit on site because they need to go for the button, but they also didn't commit to the roam clear. And so they were in this weird limbo where they were torn between, the button and the objective and kills, and they ended up getting none of those.
Yeah, no, it was a good attempt there for that push and hold there, but I think it was just a good reach from Yakuza. They had the good play in mind. They knew what they were going to try and do. They took just a little too long to get in there. If they had another 20 seconds by pushing faster, I think they'd had enough time to probably go for the push and actually stay alive, but really was Flog with an amazing read there on the attacker's position there. Brings it in for the win for their side. Now on Operation Grand Paladin, And Pala, don't be surprised. They're going for a storefront breach. Once again, it is the common player in C-Store. You see it all the time, and indeed, it's what's in store for this round. As we see also
Oh my
potential
god.
hold of bathroom here. Could be a bit of surprise as the green door is being barbed pretty well, but they're by the defenders.
I hate it here. I hate all of those puns. I need a new co-caster. Oh my god.
Well, it's first time here. It's what I do best.
Well, I guess I was supposed to cast with Chief today, and he literally does the same thing, so I shouldn't be surprised. But a man can hope. Anyways, it's looking like it's gonna be an office push, at least from the lines that we see currently. Whereas,
Mm.
Tigaman, he kind of fell back to bathroom, but he's still there. He still has presence. He's probably just going to contest the bathroom window first. Coop is also there. So is the barbed wire on the doors. And, well, you've already mentioned the plethora of barbed wire that has been, deployed so far. But, Tigaman, do you get it? No, he
Oh,
doesn't swing it aggressively enough, but he knows that a lot of people are there. And Index is actually going back. Let's see if he will contest this window because, oh, the window is too far actually up. Okay, never mind.
yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes more
Mm.
sense. But,
Oh, there's the
breach
breach.
happens, I meanwhile. Yep.
What's on in a good spot as well. Has a little shoot hole there you can use if potentially needed. So far, he's just kind of playing passive, looking for information. As that office is being slowly pre-fired, but not being cleared up just yet. Coop is hanging out, cooped up quite literally in that bottom left corner there. Tigman, they're going for the spray down with them. Suppressed Gruber gets almost a kill there. Hoping Scoop will take out Tigman's Coop. Takes out one, but it gets traded just as quickly by Index.
Yep, great entry, great refrags, but somehow Yakuza once again in a men deficit, so vibes are Gnomes are currently vibing. They just need to keep up their man advantage, but that will not happen when Index pushes solo and he gets
Oh,
taken out by Gato.
no!
Exactly what I was talking about. Gato can now
Oh,
flank as well, and
no.
that is exactly what he's doing. He's pushing behind. Raptor is looking in the right direction, so is
Uh-oh.
Scooch, but he
Uh-oh,
does not
Scoop!
see him.
Oh,
No, he
no!
doesn't. Gato gets a second one. He decides to
Oh,
rotate once
no.
again. He's just the rotate master at this point. He got two, and he's just on rampage looking for blood.
Oh,
Dylan
the
also gets taken out
photon!
for Boton. He was ready as well. And now it's all up to
No.
Reptard in a 1v3. He decides to just save the Saber. Probably the smart call. He will go behind the car or van or whatever that is. And he's just going to be playing it safe because,
Yeah,
that's just how it
you want
goes.
to keep it safe. Yeah, that was the smart call from Reptar there to keep it safe. Indeed, they'll lose the round. They have two more, but to potentially lose if need be. Hopefully, just one more, because at that point you're probably at match. Well, two more, you're at match point, 3 for the win. So they have at least a few rounds of options at least, but definitely a tough one to come back from. That was a fantastic read there. I got him in from Ghetto, had the perfect call and play there, gets the kill on Index trying to breach through there. And indeed, unfortunately for Skook there, did not clear his corners. You can't do that against a team like Floggle, as Floggle is known for somewhat ratty plays, but ultimately just good positional plays that counted it so effectively well there. Was a good read, good play. GG's. Oh, but Floggle
Oh,
going aggressive.
no.
He got zapped right out of the sky there. You got to be careful in those, and Reptar will stay alive for another round.
Okay, but can we just talk about how I probably most likely just cursed Gnomes? I literally said they're vibing, they have the man advantage, and as soon as I said that, I was like, okay, they need to maintain the man advantage. And what do they do? Index push a solo, he gets taken out. No one is watching the flank now. Ghetto gets behind them, he gets one more, and when two of your people die on flank from angles they didn't expect, it just puts the fear of God into the rest of your team. They're gonna be very aware of their flanks, of their corners, and they're just gonna be losing so much time on checking all of those angles. And then the last person also got taken out. It was allowed to Reptard, who decided to go for the save. I don't think you can clutch a 1v4, 1v3. 1v3, yeah, regardless, Not with the Saber in hand.
No, no, it's in theory it's possible, but also it's such a high risk, high reward thing that it's not worth it for that many rounds. You're already down, 2 or 3 rounds. It's not really worth it to risk, a very high value weapon that can bring them to match point if they lost, right? So it makes
Yes,
sense to keep
sir.
it safe now. So it makes sense to go for that one. And indeed on Operation Lifehawk, it's gonna be a big map, a good reason for Reptar to keep that alive. We don't know the map beforehand, obviously, so it is a bit of a surprise, but it definitely looks like Reptar made a good bet there, keeping the Saber safe. And indeed, he'll be rattling a couple of those defenders if they're not careful.
Yep, pretty much. And we're once again back on Factory. These very long angles. The Saber did get saved, like we said. What do we expect from just the loadouts from attackers, from defenders?
So, from what I can see here, it looks like Ghetto's going to be playing probably a close rotational spot. He did that a lot on C-Story. He's going to probably do it again on this map here. I think we'll see Tigaman again sniping across Photon in a good, kind of a mid-range, kind of a long-distance shot there with the Ingmar. Coop's be running fast with the barbed wire. They're kind of doing a Floggle thing. I mean, Floggle
Okay.
is a mystery, as usual, as he is the greatest wild card. Uh, for me, at least, I think he's probably the greatest wild card in the game here. You never know what he's going to expect, what he's going to try and do. It's always a surprise. He is one to watch out for sure. Brock in the neck and a flare and a Molotov. All right. Let's see what he can do with that one. They're going for a good setup for a potential power play here by throwing some good flares here. No Molotovs just yet, but that is a smart call to make as attackers can go fast into from server farm. It makes sense to go for that.
Yep. We haven't seen any lights plays yet, have we?
We saw a couple in the first game
Oh
on
yeah, but no,
up
no,
on
no, not in this one,
not
right?
this game. Nope, we haven't
Okay,
seen any
well,
yet on this game here.
it is high noon that we actually get some lights play. Those are always fun, always interesting. Probably if you're an attacker. If you're a defender, not so much. But let's see. Flogel playing with the neck there. So, you know, if someone
Ooh,
pushes very
okay,
close to him,
okay.
yeah.
Ooh,
Flogel could be in
wow.
trouble on any of the longer ranges. But Scooch takes so much damage on entry, and so does Reptard. So they're at a huge deficit. Right, you know, in the first 15, 20, 30 seconds. And keep in mind that they lose this round, they're on match point. It's not boding well for them. Pre-fire is coming out, and now Coop decides to just kind of retreat, hold the shelver angle, which he can. He was also full flash, so that's probably why. But
Check
still,
on the bottom here, though. Doc, we have Reptar and Dylan in a good spot to counter, potentially Floggle, but Ghetto will get the pickup into Scoop, running fast from server farm. On the decks, go for it again. Indeed, he does, but wins the battle against Ghetto. They take control of server farm for now, but Coop in a good spot to counter it if they do go for that breach. But we do see Photon also rotating back a little bit. We do see Reptar getting picked up there by ultimately Coop, but Tigaman will take out Index on that top side push and hold there. So Tigaman earning his keep with that mop. But Dylan
nope.
wins the battle, but Photon, doesn't get the kill in time, but Mace takes out Tigaman on the bottom side. Mace coming up big in the clutcher. Can he kill Coop? Nope. Photon and Coop take out the last remaining players. It's match point for Yaokuza 6-2.
Welcome to Refrag Paradise. This was such a chaotic round, but yet it was still structured. It's super hard to explain it. But you know, it was, I don't know, it was organized chaos, even if I may say so. And you know, two Gnomes players losing 90% of their HP in the first 15 seconds, definitely not something you want to have happen. Sure, it happens, but you know, you gotta play it safer then. And Reptar just kind of died on those docks and the dock doors. He just didn't really stand a chance there. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was an interesting push and hold there from the teams and from these players. Ultimately, it was a loss there for the Gnomes. But really was just an amazing read there from Coop on good reads, good position. Photon as well. Getting that clutch kills on those sides was not easy, but they did get in the W. And now we're on Operation Shattered Lotus. A map that's a little interesting with, again, another corner pillbox on the bottom here. So two of the windows, maybe for actually three of these windows, really good for countering spawns for the attackers here, because they can basically sit somebody here and shoot across these entire sight lines here, here, and on the bottom here. So it's going to be a tough one to push on that side. They're going to have to go on the top side around, which will give more information if the defenders use some positional information on their side, going on office, going on lockers, going for ears. They can hear a lot of stuff. So there can be a very, very sneaky, beaky, I think, start to this round. But after that, well, I'm excited to see what they opt to do here.
More importantly, though, match point 6-2. You
Ooh.
know,
Series point too.
Gnomes, yeah, series point as well. And Gnomes have secured even less rounds than they have on the last map. Let's see if they can get at least one or two more. If they can get it back to, 7-3, 7-4, I think it was overall a good match for them, a good learning experience. But Yakuza today are just on another level. And we're not saying Gnomes are bad. We're just saying Yakuza is much, much better at the moment.
Indeed. It's interesting overall what they're going to go for here. Looks like they're going for a strat on the backstage here, going for a bit of an aggressive reach on the red door here in the kitchen hallway kind of mixture here. But how will it work out for him? The thing is, this is, again, a kill house map, so that means everything is heavily wall bangable, which means you have not a lot of cover. You have a little bit there in kitchen, so you have some coverage from here and these sides in here, but not a whole lot of options here. So they have to play it very smart and play very, very aggressively if they're going to take in the round. So it's possible, but it's going to be a tall order here for the attackers of the Gnomes. Otherwise, Yakuza play calm, play cool, and they got the W.
When I cast, Kill House, I just don't ever leave the map view. I just kind of stay in there so I can see who wallbanged what, because otherwise you just can't tell who shot who from where. Bullets literally go through the entire map, and it's just so hard at times to see what's happening. So, map view, your best friend.
Indeed. Keep the
Which
map
is
of the
coming out,
situation. Yeah, Tiki Man going for the long shot. They did not get the pickup, but definitely got some good information out at least. take control of checkpoint for now, but Dylan and Reptar are in a good spot to counter it. They go for the breach. They're about to send it off, but nobody's over there just yet. But Coop in a good pre-fire spot holds off the push for now instead of a Molotov.
Oh, Raptor just pushes through though.
My teammate still gets the kill with a pistol onto Reptar despite that, and is able to escape for now, but Dylan gets the trade up on Molotov, forcing him in a tough spot here. Oh, but Index is taken out by Floggle's mace. Will take out Floggle in the trade. Dylan pushing through, going for the heavy aggressive play here in Pillbox. Looking to swallow some rounds here and possibly swallowing the win here. Let's see what they can do as Ghetto waits for the shot across here. Skook Squad as well, looking to try and push through. Going for the pre-fires through kitchen, but again, Ghetto is in a good space, good safe space here through the cover. But oh, lots of shots here. Coop trying to battle against Dylan.
Well, once again, yeah, you know, Kill House is wallbang galore, and it is all up to Scooge, Dylan, and Mace to kind of keep their team afloat for just a little bit longer. Mace on a long-range weapon, when they really need to start taking those fights, kind of worries me, but let's see if he can muster something up with it. Coop also about to get flanked, and he does get flanked. Coop is just ready for it. Scooge does get one, but will that be enough? 45 seconds left. Mace is free-firing towards Get. Up to him at the moment.
Oh, no.
Second one.
Out of ammo. Oh, the barbecue for the win.
No. That was disgusting. No.
Oh, cooked in the kitchen. How can you believe it? It's Yaokuza taking the game, set, and match. It is 7-2.
Oh, my God.
7-3 in the previous game. GG's to Yaokuza. They are going to win and go on to the final.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
wow.
You know, the other semifinal, the one that is about to be played very, very soon, is LCG versus Global Breakout. So before we pass it forward, who do you think is taking that one?
Ooh, that is a very, very good question. So between Global Breakout and LCG, I want LCG to win because they have been an underdog for so long. They have struggled a lot in the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for them. But Global Breakout is also a fantastic team. I've seen how they've done and how well they've performed. I think we're going to see them probably take, hopefully not a Gnomes Yakuza situation where it's like a pretty clear victory beforehand. But still, I think we're going to see LCG make it pretty close. I'm hoping for a 7-5 in favor of Global Breakout. And then maybe game 2, go into LCG, make it to game 3. And at that point, it's a toss-up. Then who's going to take it? But ultimately, I think we're going to see a fantastic game. Either way, even this game was still fantastic. A lot of good pushes, a lot of good kills there from Gnomes and from Yaokuza. So everybody, GG's, well played. It was fantastic setup there. I'm proud of everybody today. So GG's.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, you know, casting the teams. It was a pleasure casting with you. I think, once again, just like thank you to the community for being so very welcoming. You know, you build with us as we learn due process. And obviously, Shark here is already more experienced, but still there's a bunch of us that are new here, and you guys have been nothing but welcoming. And like always, constructive criticism and feedback always appreciated. But thank you so much for having us. And unless Shark has something else to add, we're just gonna go to a short break, and then later on we'll be back with LCG versus Global Breakout, and it's gonna be casted by our boys Melvin Man and Echo.
Ooh, all right. Well, Melvin and Echo, I'm excited to hear them. They did a pretty good job last weekend. But excited to see them come back once again for this matchup here. I said everything I wanted to. Once again, GG's to everybody, and thank you, of course, to everybody running the show and keeping things going. And of course, the players for playing on and keeping on in this in due process. It's nice to see that, and nice to see that everybody still battling up, going for the wins here. I've been Steph Shark alongside Boxy here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back in a bit with LCG versus Global Breakout. You're watching the Due Process League.